Welcome, everybody. First and foremost, thank you for joining us here at our second webinar in this Nightwatch Master Integrator series. Today, we'll be covering AI and security with our good friends over at Verkada. Jen, next slide, please.
Got you.
Perfect. We'll start off with a quick agenda, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. First and foremost, we'll start kicking off with a quick introduction of Nightwatch, who we are and what we do. Hopefully, the vast majority of people on this call are already familiar with us. If not, we'll cover it at that point. Then we have a couple slides, Verkada introduction, who they are, what they do, how it all ties together. We'll keep it all very high level before we jump into what everyone came to see today, which is the demo of not only the Verkada product, some of their search features, of course, their ecosystem as a whole, which is very impressive, especially in the cloud space, but then, of course, their AI search capabilities, which really do separate themselves from the rest. And then finally, we'll open up for a Q&A. If that works for everyone. So please pay attention because almost every of the products that we'll show today, you can trial. Next slide, please. Perfect. Our presenters, of course, myself, Joshua Andrechow. I am a senior account executive in the security division here at Nightwatch, over here on the east side, out of our Troy office. Then, of course, with us, we have Jen Mannix from the Verkada Enterprise account executive team, specifically covering manufacturing organizations in this area. So next slide, please. Perfect. We'll kick it off with a quick Nightwatch overview. Again, our specialty is that we are a premium one-stop shop for all of your physical security needs. So you'll see the 6 different bubbles we have up here. We do specialize, of course, in video surveillance, access control, and that can also be tied into intrusion alarms as well. We have a full team that's dedicated to building automation, whether that's lighting, HVAC controls and things of that nature. And then, of course, we have an entire fire division team as well. We do have a global services division that focuses exclusively on some of the largest organizations and helps them not only install, plan, but then also maintain locations for physical security across the globe. And then, of course, we have a pretty large maintenance division as well, making sure that we're not just selling you something and hoping it works in a year from now, but we'll be with you every step of the way, making sure you're not only happy, but very, very excited to use this system in 5, 10 years down the road as well. That's functioning to your liking. I believe the next slide is Verkada. Jen, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me. So yes, as Josh said, I am Jen Mannix here at Verkada. If you don't know Verkada, we got started as a tech startup in the San Francisco area in 2016. And we are now the largest and fastest growing physical security company in the world. So that's a fun background on us. This is just showing the growth we have, our offices that are continuing to grow every single year, our customer base. This is a live stat on our website, so you can kind of see our growth if you are so interested as we grow. So Verkada is, like we stated, is a cloud-based solution. These are our suite of products all integrated that I'll show you today and how they all build on top of each other, and they are custom written that way. They are not acquisitions. These are literally made to work together and make each other stronger by doing so. So we will spend a good amount of time, of course, on the camera portion and the AI-based searches and how we utilize those, but we will also dive in slightly into access control, our environmental sensors, intrusion, and of course our intercoms. This is just a different depiction of what we just looked at, just showing it how it comes in your space, again, to make your physical security stronger and how to make your employees more efficient that are using them. For people that are on the call, I know some are used to that traditional architecture, which is that on-prem server. And this is just showing you what you're probably used to, right? Which is a camera going into Cat 6, into your PoE switch, going into an NVR, and just showing the complexities of that. And this is just showing you how how our infrastructure, how it cuts that out. So with our devices, whether that's our card readers, our cameras, our sensors, etc., it is, obviously, of course, on the cameras and sensors, a Cat 6 connection, and then we are recording at the device and then pushing to the cloud. So this is obviously, there are a lot of pros to that, and we'll get through that today. Obviously, whether you're doing one camera or thousands of cameras, it allows great scalability, flexibility, along with Verkada does have a 10-year warranty on all of our cameras minus our PTZ, but we'll get into that further. like we just talked about. So 10-year warranty is one of our claim to fames, of course. And the beautiful thing about going into the cloud is one, of course, we're not managing those NVRs, DVRs on each site, but it's also allowing you ultimate getting all of your firmware updates, software updates, pushing directly to those devices. And then we have 24/7 technical support. If there is an issue with a device, we're going to next day that to you guys, and 24/7 technical support. Zero ongoing maintenance costs. You obviously have a license to bring something live. Again, scalability, unlimited users, unlimited sites, unlimited cameras, and allowing you to reach them from anywhere. I'm going to open the product if I so may. This is welcome to the Verkada ecosystem. We call it Command. As you can see here in our fun little waffle up top, this is all of our products. If you are a Verkada customer now or were to be one, what would be highlighted here is which products you do have. Of course, I'm in our org site, so it does have everything. But people who just have cameras and access would be just those, and so on and so forth. Okie dokie. First thing I like to show when we get into Command is obviously, as you can see here on the left, a tree a lot of people are used to. This is all the Verkada sites I can see. Obviously can be partitioned based on my user base. So if you are an administrator of a certain school, a certain site, you can maybe just see your site and it can kind of scale from there. But I like to go into our maps. We are integrated with Google Maps. And so as we continue to zoom out here, if my mouse wants to be my friend today, you can start to see what sites I have access to around the world. And this could be obviously as close as you need or as zoomed out as you need, depending on if you just have a certain area. So as we come into this further, we can start to dive in. A couple key points that are important here. So first thing you're going to see as you go in here is you're going to start to see a lot of green cameras. That's letting you know that they are online, right? There's no issues with them. This one's getting a firmware update. You can see right here in yellow, but everything is live and functioning. I feel like there's nothing worse in the video surveillance world than a camera that we thought was online and it isn't, right? You go to pull that video and it's gone. So this is obviously real-time alerts of that your cameras are online and recording. Going a step further, we do utilize floor plans. This gives you a really nice, from an administrative level on what's going on in your space. So no matter what you have from Verkada, be cameras, access control, guest management, etc., it can all live live on a floor plan. So you can see here, we have a sensor that's live here. We have a camera here pointed at a freezer, along with a sensor tying that to there. So it really gives you a nice management piece here. As long as also, you can also click here to see kind of motion that's happening. You can then kind of manage from there. People heat map is a really big one for us in the retail space, knowing where people are going and how much time they're spending in certain areas. Really, really good for the workflow. I'm going to go back. All right, diving into our cameras here. I'm going to go back before I do that. So as you can see here, all my tree exists within this space. I want to show you a little bit of a difference. We're going to dive into some Verkada cameras direct, but we do allow and can bring in third-party cameras, which is common, of course, of a lot of organizations to have an existing fleet. So this just shows you that no matter what your sites are, if they're OnVIF cameras or Verkada cameras direct, you can manage them all centrally here. As you can see through here, we've got access cameras, FLIR cameras, Hanwha cameras, etc. We've got a big going list of the cameras we have tried within our system. But what you'll see is you're going to get a lot of the functionality as we do push our analytics to those OnVIF cameras to make them smarter. Going into our cameras, though, I will show you, which again, same kind of searches. I didn't mean to do that. Knock it off. Sorry about that. Okay, going into our cameras here. This is a live view. This is in San Francisco, California. We'll say Mateo to be more specific. So something that most people on the call are probably used to is you can do motion history searches, which is a very common task that's allowed out there. But what I want to dive into further is our vehicle and people searches. So if we wanted to go ahead and do a search at this camera level, and we could search by, this is a male, we knew he did something nefarious outside and he was wearing a blue top. And this is obviously going to be a post search you're going to do. We can then see those results below. And if we wanted to go a step further from that, we could search by face, and we could search, and this is on this camera specifically, everywhere this gentleman was. And we could also do search all cameras. And then this gentleman was awful naughty, and we can pull where he was in our building. From there, we could also make him what we call a POI, or a person of interest. And it could let us know anytime he hits any of our cameras at any of our locations. I've seen people use that for pros or for cons, aka it's a customer, you really want to know when they're there. They're a superintendent, you want to know when they're there. Or negative, this person did something, was, maybe workplace violence, this person was fired, etc. And we want to know when they come back. Same is going to be true of vehicles. So we can do those same kind of searches based on color of car, make, model, those kind of fun things, the type, right? And we can pull it that way. However, going a step further, a beautiful piece of Verkada, at least in my bias mind, is our license plate of interest. So our bullet cameras out of the box will record on license plates. Obviously, placement matters a lot with that, but there's not an extra license or any extra fee for that. That's just what our bullets are doing. And what's cool about it is, again, it's going to record not only that license plate, but how often it's seen in your portfolio, which makes a nice red flag if you're seeing a lot of this license plate, maybe in a hospital parking lot. Maybe why is that person there if they don't work there, right? If they're not a doctor and they shouldn't be in that lot, those kind of things can be really useful. And then you can get alerts based on it. Again, if you have, a suspicious driver driving around your lot 30 times in a month, maybe we want to find out why. So that's all held here. Okay, fun. So we talked about all this. One thing that is another claim to fame of Verkada is our find, save, share. Because we are cloud-based, it is making it really, really, really simple to share footage. So instead of having to download a player, download that clip, all that fun things, you can actually share this right here live. I can put in your phone number. I'm just going to put in my own just to show you how this would go. We could add that phone number, and then we can send that link right then, coming right to your phone. So that's really fun, really easy. Law enforcement, all that stuff. It makes it really the ease of use for sure. And then obviously the main thing we wanted to kind of cover today is our AI search. So our cameras are recording at the edge, or at the device, and our analytics are sitting at the camera level. So I sit on our manufacturing team. This is a huge thing for us. And how do we make this system, one, work for you, and two, if we do have to do, reactive searches, how do we make it as fast as possible using AI? So a really cool one I like to do, and I think is universal, is, you're at a site and somebody ran into another car, and it was on Tuesday, it was 10 a.m. and we heard it was a white van, right? So we can go ahead and do that search here and let it come live. And again, just trying to make this as interactive as possible for you to do these searches. This is in California, so obviously Pacific time. So it is doing that time change for me, which I think is rather snazzy. So that's one really great way of how you could make these searches faster for you and your teams. But for the manufacturing team, one thing we find really useful is how do we get in front of, workman's comp? How do we get in front of, person not wearing their PPE, those kind of things, and then be alerted accordingly, which is something we can do here at Verkada. So if we wanted to know in a certain area of our location, you're not wearing the proper hardware, hard hats, vests, etc. So we could even do like person not wearing PPE, which I think is absolutely awesome. And again, you could do this to your environment if you are a school person wearing backpack, etc. So you're going to start to see below, it's going to start to pull. Obviously here we're pulling PPE. They're calling gloves as PPE, but we can start to draw into that. And again, get real-time alerts on when somebody is or isn't doing what they should be doing in a space, because obviously we want to get in front of those OSHA violations, very much so. Another cool search I've seen people do a lot of times too is like person driving a U-Haul, UPS, all those fun things. And it's amazing how accurate it is. And again, being alerted on those real time if it's something that matters to you. I believe that's good for the video portion. I'm going to dive into the access control. Josh, unless you have anything you want me to touch on.
Nope, that was perfect. Thank you.
Superb. All right. And don't forget, we're going to allow for Q&A at the end. So if I'm missing something or anyone has questions, we will dive into that soon, I promise. Okay, so a big piece of this is how do we, again, make these systems smarter, right? So access control, black and white, right? Open the door, close the door, open door, close the door. Awesome. But how do we type video into it to make it smarter? And then how do we make it so that you're not trying to make these systems work together. They just work together, right? It's just innate. So I'm going to open up B Street, 3rd floor, front street. I just want to make sure I'm opening the right door. Forgive me. It is B Street, front door. Okay, awesome. Okay, so here's a great example. This is a door. We tie our cameras to it. There's no extra license for that, just out of the box here. Again, we can see that currently that door is closed. It's locked. Lovely. If we wanted to, from our phone, from our desk, etc., we could open that door, which is great. What I think is even more powerful, and what I wanted to show you, because I don't find access control to be as sexy as video is, but what I do think is awesome is if we wanted to know about tailgating. Tailgating is a really hard thing we all deal with culturally. It's so nice. We hold the door open for each other, but it does make it really challenging when we're letting people in a space and we don't know they're there. So unless you have a turnstile of such, it's really hard to deter that. So one of the things we can do with our camera, if it gets one badge read, but sees more than one person entering, we could get an alert on that, right? So you can see here below, it's saying there was a tailgating detected at this door. And here you're going to see our friend here is badging, and look at this group of people he's letting in. So 2 people badged, but 3 entered. Naughty, naughty. So it's a really cool way, again, just to show. And you can see here on the side, it's saying this 3rd person snuck in, and that is so naughty, and we shouldn't allow that. So that's just some really cool, really quick, easy way to show the power of those systems working together. And then the last thing on the access control side I just want to tie into, of course, schedules, reports, all that fun stuff, user groups, all the things we know and love about access control exists. But then there's this lockdown, right? And so the cool thing about lockdown here is it's a really quick, easy way to do so. And you could do that by door, by floor, by building, by campus, etc., making you really, really efficient. And because obviously a lockdown needs to be quick and efficient. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on air quality. We do love it. It does exist, and it is really great how we pair it with our camera. So it really huge in manufacturing, of course, the team I sit on, from TVOC levels, PM, all that kind of stuff is really important. And then again, we tie it, you can see here, we do tie it to our video. So if there is a spike, you can in real time see what's happening, versus, maybe from a server room, it's too hot. Okay, well, what's happening? And going to have to investigate in real time. We'll let you know. Like you can see here, there was a temperature issue, and it's going to pop up with a push notification and say, hey, here's what's happening for that alert. I'm going to go into our intercom because I love it. I'm biased, but I love it. So our intercom is a camera. It can have a reader. It can be a single door controller. It's a really 3-in-1 product. It's really, really nice. And a really good opening to Verkada if you've never used our system before. So as you can see, this is our intercom on this screen here. Love, there's a really great use case happening here. And we do tie 2 other cameras to it just to give you a nice 360 view of what's happening. You can talk down through this at any point. You can lock, unlock remotely, all of that fun stuff. What I love the most about it, though, is that you can actually see past events. What happened? If it's not just a walkie-talkie anymore, it's not just a 2-way radio. We can get all of the alerts of someone who was declined or accepted for that 30 days, like our cameras. Gives you a really nice storyline of what's happening. The other thing that is lovely about it is you can do all the searches I showed you before. So we can do the people searches based on this. We can do the vehicle searches based on this. So it is just as smart as our cameras, as you can kind of see. It is SIP enabled. You can tie it to your phone system. You can create hours on it where an automatic response could come out and say, hey, we're closed, come back tomorrow. So it's a really nice, cool kind of overall of all of Verkada. And again, our dashboards are just fun. It's going to show you, how many calls we're seeing, missed calls, admitted, all of the fun stuff, who's answering when. It's just a really nice overall. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to go into alarms very, very quickly because we are close, I believe, to time. But so Verkada also has an intrusion system. There are a couple different ways we can really show this. So from a whole holistic value here, you can kind of see these are all the sites with intrusion. And that could be as far as like an intrusion panel, or you can also just do like video monitoring. Maybe you have a site where you've got some naughty people that are showing up after hours and we want to deter them. So you can just on that, something as simple as that, you could turn on our alarm license and just have a deterrent. But the other way we can go a little bit of a step further for our intrusion, you can kind of see here, this is the address of the site, system status, all that fun stuff exists, of course, and then we can arm, disarm from here if we wanted to. But one of the things I think that's really cool is you can kind of see what's happening. You can see some really cool alerts that are happening when we are armed. So this is just telling you, obviously this site was armed, there was an alert that happened. And these are all the people that were kind of in the scene for the armed period. So you can kind of get a really good kind of cup of coffee search of what happened at a site kind of after hours. And these are the people that were being awfully naughty during it. So this is a really nice, this is exactly what happened during the, this is the trigger. We obviously armed our site here in San Mateo. This suspicious fella showed up at 8:40 a.m. It's showing you what happened. Agent escalated it to an alarm. This is who it called. And it's telling you it's called by the agent, no answer. And so then Amelia answered, which was the second person. And this is just showing you the transcript of what they spoke about. And then what happened through the duration of that process. So really, really, really cool overall. And something I think is cool, and I could be biased again, that's fine, that you can see kind of when we're integrating our video in our intrusion, is how you're going to partition these things. So this is showing you the hours we're arming. And again, we're going to do the point of this, the reason this came to be was how do we lower false alarms? I feel like all of us hate intrusion because if a wind hits a motion, it goes off, right? We're getting those calls at 2 a.m. So a cool thing I love to show is this is how we're doing loitering. This is how we're doing person detected. If somebody's up on this roof, we probably want to know. And after hours, if someone's back in this back alley, we probably want to know. So a really cool thing, I think, just showing the strength of AI on our cameras is this is telling you if I was to change this partition, how many alerts I would then start getting based on the self-learning of this camera. Really powerful. Again, it's just saying, hey, I've been here a while. I know what a normal day looks like in this view. You might not want to set this all up for loitering, right? So coming back here, you can see how that is changing. Again, I just think it's a really cool way to show how smart these cameras are. Am I missing anything, Josh? I know I went over a lot.
I don't think so. We covered the main points we wanted to cover there.
Awesome. I tried to follow my notes as well as I could. So I
Love
appreciate that. I think we're a little ahead of schedule, which is no surprise with the speed at which I speak. So I appreciate it. Paige, do you want to open to questions?
Let's do it. And while in the meantime, can you switch back to the slides actually, Jen, if that's all right?
Of course I can.
In the meantime, please, anyone that is interested, please send in a question into the Q&A section and we'll work through them together.
Yeah, and Josh kind of stated, Verkada, we do offer free trials on everything we sell.
Yep.
So if you have an interest of putting, one camera or multiple cameras, we've done very large proof of concepts and free trials. So just let us know.
Absolutely. Perfect. All right. I've got at least one or two questions as they continue to come in here. All right, Jen, I'm going to throw some of these your way.
Cool. I can't wait. So
here's an easy one. All right.
Cool.
What does the role of AI play in improving incident detection and response times? So that might have been a softball question from the Nightwatch team, now that I'm saying it out loud.
It's okay. That's okay. It totally is. I think I've seen that question a time or two. Really what it is it's trying to make your system smarter, right? It's trying to make you spending less time on it, right? So go back to like 5-10 years ago. It's like, okay, if you had your cameras to set up for alerts after hours and a deer walks in your lot, which we are in Michigan, very common, you're going to get alerts, right? We just are, right? Or if you have a motion in an area and a balloon goes into the air, right? I'm thinking of hospitals when I say that, or schools when I say that, right? It's going to set it off. So it's really, you put AI in anything that can see into your space, outside or inside, it's going to then limit limit the amount of time you need to spend on it, right? Because it's going to then be like, nope, that's a deer. We don't care about that, right? Or, oh, it's just a balloon. We don't need to call, Stacy about that right now, right? It's not actually a threat, right? I think, does that answer the question you feel?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll
Yeah.
even add to it. I've been working with the Verkada team personally in a number of different capacities over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's so interesting because they've always had advanced search features, right? You could always pull up a camera, you could pull up someone with a certain shirt at a certain time, but you always had to make sure you're looking at the right camera, which you didn't know if you're really looking back at an incident. And it would always, despite these advanced features, take time sometimes to find the footage, although compared to previous technology, it was an improvement. Now the fact that you can go to a search bar, put in this individual appeared at this time, this date, it was wearing this color shirt or wearing, driving a certain vehicle, type it in and pull that description across all of your cameras immediately is such a powerful tool. And I can't understate that enough. While we're here, I do also want to mention that this was a free update. Right? You're a Verkada customer. You have a license. You get automatic, search, automatic software and firmware updates. All of the existing Verkada customers woke up with this new AI feature. It wasn't an add-on, wasn't an additional license. They woke up doing face search, and now they can do AI search, which just again shows the dedication the Verkada team has to improving the product there. I'm going to pivot a little bit for a second from the AI section. I think a number of the people here on the call will find this interesting. For the longest time, Verkada was synonymous with proprietary, right? You needed to use their cameras. That was really the only option. If you had, a large existing camera infrastructure, is going to be a challenge, right? Or at least upfront to switch over to the Verkada side. Now, not so much. Talk to me about the Command Connector. Talk to me about compatibility, and then I'd love to hear about some of the use cases, Jen, you're even seeing with your existing customers.
Yeah, it was a big thing, and it was kind of, if anyone, well, way too many people on this call know me, but it was a must-have, right? It was something we needed to do. We were reluctant for so long, and it was just due to a lot of cyber, a lot of trying to protect ourselves, I think. But yeah, it was a huge thing, but being able to bring in. So the first question of like, what cameras can we bring in? So it's on the profile S, which is very common. So that's going to be your Axis cameras. That's going to be your Sony cameras. It's going to be your Vigilon cameras. Obviously, we have a list going, but it's going to be your mainstream cameras that you guys are used to can now come into a Verkada Command Connector box. And essentially what that is it's going to replace, if you have on-site, on-prem NVRs, it's going to take place of that. And the beauty of that is it's going to give you a nice hybrid, right? It's going to give you it's going to bring you to the cloud if that's a goal of yours as a company. And it's going to push our analytics to your devices. That's what I think is the most beautiful thing about it, is it then making your existing fleet smarter. And so we're seeing a lot of use cases of this, of course. The larger the organization, I think the more we're seeing it. Because from a price standpoint, if you do have a small amount of fleet out there, a small amount of cameras out there, a lot of people are just replacing those. But these are people who have hundreds and thousands of cameras in the field, and they're like, we're not ripping those out tomorrow. These cameras are still in warranty, or they're younger cameras, 5 years and lower. We're seeing a lot of it, and it's really just allowing large organizations a bridge, right? To get to where they want to be, right? They want to be standardized. They want to get rid of servers. They want these firmware software updates. They want these warranties, and how do we get there when we have so much in the field? So we are seeing so much of that. I live here in the state of Michigan as well. And there's a lot of manufacturing large accounts that are definitely looking at it for them, or already have it in for sure.
Awesome. That makes sense. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting to be able to supercharge existing cameras with the Verkada top-end analytics is something I think we're all excited about, to say the least.
Something else, I'm so sorry, is we will also try those. So if you have any interest, you've got cameras in the field, you've got a little site you can think of that you want to plug those in at, let your Night Watch rep know. We'll be happy to get that moving for you.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you. Moving on to the next question here. Verkada has a lot of analytics. We have the AI attached. One of the most interesting things that I personally think is how those all tie into the proactive alerts, right?
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I'd love to hear some examples of outside of security, right? What are these alerts? What are these AI features, whether it's marketing, OSHA compliance, additional sales, whatever it may be. I'm curious how people are using the security tool and then tying it in with their other divisions within their own company.
There's so many things I've seen, and I think Josh is throwing me a beach ball here, and I appreciate him from top of mind, of course. But I'll start manufacturing and then I'll go. There's so many different verticals, and there's obviously many different verticals on this call, so forgive me. But from a retail standpoint, there's so many ways we can do this. Of course, it can be LPR of people that are coming to your site, big customers that are coming to your site. Also, repeat people. How do you know, and how do you then market to them as well is a really big thing. And also, like I showed you guys earlier from the retail standpoint, is that people map, heat map, making sure you're putting places strategically based on where the people are spending their time is a really large use case. Workman's comp, like I talked about, is a big thing, and OSHA are both two really big things, because a big thing for Verkada is how do we create this ROI for you guys, right? These things cost money. They're not cheap. You've got to get them installed. There's a lot of labor kind of thrown out there. So how do we make this pay for itself? And we're really touching every bit of the organization now. It's not just a loss prevention conversation. It's not just an IT conversation anymore. An example I can give you is for a company in Michigan. They tie their car doors to our system. Their car doors that they're making for one of the big manufacturers here, auto suppliers here, is, say that car door number is 1234. And they get from their client that the car door gets there and it's scratched, right? Well, they go back into our Verkada system and they type in 1234 to then see what did that car door look like when it left. From an audit perspective, it then pays for itself. Like, it left our lot fine, right? And then for a proactive standpoint, with the OSHA stuff, like we already kind of talked about, is okay, they don't have the right PPE on, like alert the EHS person on site immediately. They shouldn't be in that area. How do we get in front of those kind of violations, or with our sensors, it's too loud in that area, right? There's too many particles in the air, right? The use cases go through the roof, or, this person is here, but they were fired. What are they doing here? Like, what their car just pulled in, right? How do we get in front of that stuff? Again, I don't want to over alert everybody in the world. So be careful to turn on, but there are, the list is long, and it's very dependent on the vertical, but if you are interested at all, I definitely would suggest you set up some time just so we can talk through the use cases for your vertical. That was a long answer, but I hope it helped.
It was a very loaded question, so I appreciate the long answer. Absolutely. What can you tell? What's coming next? I mean, they just came out with this great AI feature. Can you give us the direction of what these next searches might be, specifically on the AI search side? And if there's, if we all have to sign NDAs before, I understand if we don't have to share today, but I am curious if you have a gut feeling either way.
I don't think I know. So obviously,
fair enough.
Year starts in February. That's when our year starts, and I'm positive some crazy stuff's coming out. I don't know what it is, but it's just every day these are getting crazier and crazier and stronger and stronger and smarter and smarter. So stay tuned.
I love it. Thank you. That is essentially everything for me. Thank you all for your questions. Thank you for your time, for everyone that joined. I know we're giving you about 20 or so minutes back, so appreciate you all jumping on here. And if anyone whatsoever on this call is interested in seeing a more in-depth demo, wanted to trial any of these products, please don't take our word for it. We'll pay for shipping either way on these cameras. Plug them in, try them for yourself, download the app, and see it for yourself. That's why their trial program is so successful, right? Because once you get your hands on the technology, it makes all the difference there. That being said, thank you all for your time. Thank you for joining us. But if nothing else, thank you all, and we'll hope to be talking with you soon. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.